Have you ever had that feeling? Staring at a huge to-do list and it just feels like you're wading through mud.
Oh, absolutely. Like you're drowning in tasks.
Exactly. The big important stuff just sits there kind of looming while you end up doing, well, everything else.
It's that sense of being constantly overwhelmed, isn't it? Like the waves just keep crashing.
And that idea of actually being caught up, it feels, I don't know, like a myth sometimes.
It really is. We often think we need to do everything. But the real challenge, it's controlling what you do next, focusing your energy.
And that's exactly what we're diving into today. This is our deep dive into Brian Tracy's massive bestseller, Eat That Frog.
Right. We've looked at key ideas from the book itself and also some of the tools that go with it, like the cards, the video training, the audiobook.
Our mission here is to pull out some really powerful strategies from all this material. Stuff to help you stop procrastinating, get clear on priorities, and really boost your effectiveness.
It's not just about ticking boxes, is it? It's about getting the right things done, the important things.
So let's get right into it. The core idea, it's this metaphor, maybe a bit strange sounding, eating your frog.
Ha, yeah. A live frog.
He says if the very first thing you do each morning is eat a live frog, well, you can go through the rest of the day knowing the worst is probably behind you.
And that frog, of course, isn't actually a frog. It's your biggest, most important task.
The one you're most likely to put off.
Exactly. But it's also the one that could have the biggest positive impact if you just did it.
And there's real psychology here,
Yeah.
right, about starting strong.
Oh, definitely. When you actually finish a big task, especially a tough one, the book explains you get this rush.
Like a natural high.
Precisely. Endorphins get released, you feel energetic, enthusiastic, your self-esteem gets a boost, you feel like a winner.
And the bigger the task you conquer, the better you feel. It's like a positive feedback loop.
Which is so important because it combats that feeling of overwhelm we talked about.
Yeah, because Tracy is very clear. You are never going to get caught up.
Right. Forget that idea. There's just too much stuff. Emails, tasks, responsibilities, it's impossible.
So the key isn't doing everything.
No. It's changing how you approach work, focusing your energy on the few things that really make a difference, taking control of the sequence, choosing that next important action.
Okay, that's actually kind of freeing, accepting you'll never be caught up. But then, how do you pick the frog if the list is endless?
That's where clarity and planning come in. Big time.
He says vagueness is a major reason for procrastination, doesn't he? Fuzzy thinking about what you're actually trying to achieve.
That's it, exactly, which leads to his great rule for success. Think on paper.
Think on paper, not just in your head or on a screen necessarily.
Well, the act of writing it down is powerful. Material cites the statistic only about 3% of adults have clear written goals.
Only 3%. Wow.
Yeah, and those people, they achieve 5 to 10 times more than others who are just as capable but haven't written things down.
5 to 10 times. That's huge.
Uh-huh.
What's the magic in writing it down, specifically?
It makes it tangible. It forces clarity. Typing is one thing, but writing, it seems, engages your brain differently, solidifies the commitment. It takes vague ideas and makes them concrete. Less mental juggling.
Okay, that makes sense. And he has a formula for this, right? A 7-step thing.
Yes, a really practical 7-step goal-setting formula helps lock it all in.
Let's walk through them. Step 1, decide exactly what you want.
Get crystal clear. Maybe even talk it through with your boss, Avoid doing things really well that didn't need doing in the first place.
Right, like Stephen Covey said, make sure your ladder's against the right wall.
Exactly. Step 2, write it down. That commitment piece we mentioned.
Okay, then step 3.
Set a deadline. Super important. No deadline, you'll naturally put it off. Deadlines create urgency.
Urgency gets things moving. Step 4.
Make a list. Every single little task needed to get to the goal. Brainstorm it all out. Gives you a visual roadmap.
Got it. Then step 5, organize that list. Turn it into a plan, maybe sequence it, see how tasks relate.
Yep. And step 6, this is crucial. Take action immediately.
Don't wait.
Don't wait. Do something. Anything. An okay plan that you actually start is way better than a brilliant plan that just sits there.
Action beats perfection. Love that. And the last step, 7.
Resolve to do something every single day. Every morning, take action on the most important task for your biggest goal.
And this planning pays off, right? He mentions a return on energy.
A massive return. Every minute you spend planning can save, up to 10 minutes when you actually do the work.
10 minutes saved for everyone spent planning. Wow.
Yeah. It makes tackling that frog way easier because you know exactly what it is and what the first step is.
Okay, so clarity and a plan are foundational.
Yeah.
but you still have that long list.
Uh,
How do you prioritize day to day? That's where the ABCDE method comes in.
exactly. It's a really practical way to sort through your daily tasks.
How does it work?
Simple, really. List everything you need to do. Then assign a letter, A, B, C, D, or E.
Okay, what do they stand for?
A tasks are your frogs, the absolute must-dos. Big consequences if you don't do them, or big benefits if you do. If you have several, you rank them. A1, A2, A3.
A1 being the biggest, ugliest frog.
You got it. Then B tasks are tadpoles things you should do, but the consequences are mild.
Tadpoles. Okay.
And the rule is, never do a B task if you have an A task waiting.
Resist the temptation of the easier should-dos.
Right. C tasks are nice to-dos, no real consequences. Calling a friend, maybe?
Okay.
D tasks, delegate them. Give them to someone else to free you up for your A tasks.
Makes sense. And E.
Eliminate. Tasks that just don't matter anymore, things that are obsolete, just cross them off.
So the real discipline is starting that A1 task first thing and sticking with it.
Until it's 100% done. That's the core habit.
But what are the traps people fall into with this? It sounds straightforward.
Well, a big one is letting those B tasks creep in. They often feel easier or less intimidating than a big A task.
So you feel busy, but you're not actually tackling the important stuff.
Exactly. Tracy calls it creative procrastination. You're doing something, just not the right something. Another trap is not being ruthless enough with D&E, holding on to things you shouldn't.
Creative procrastination. I think we've all been there. Cleaning the garage instead of filing taxes.
Precisely. So if you're saying yes to your A1, you also need to get good at saying no to other things.
This is the posteriorities idea. Setting things you are not going to do.
Yes. Deliberately deciding what to put off or decline. He says the most powerful word in time management is no.
That's hard for a lot of people, though.
It really is. But look at someone like Warren Buffett. He apparently said his secret was just saying no to almost everything that wasn't absolutely vital right then.
Wow. Just saying no. There's an example in the book, too, right? About a golfer.
Yeah, who cut way back on his golf games just to get control of his time and life again. It's about consciously choosing where your energy goes.
And this links straight into the 80-20 rule, doesn't it? The Pareto principle.
Absolutely. We hear it a lot. 20% of activities yield 80% of results. Tracy applies it directly to your tasks.
So like 20% of what's on your list will give you 80% of the value.
Pretty much. Think about email. He suggests maybe 80% of emails have little value. Perhaps only 4% need an immediate reply.
So the challenge is figuring out which 20% is the high-value stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And avoiding the trap of spending 80% of your time on the low-value 80% just because they seem urgent or easy.
That really reframes things, especially the inbox. He also talks about considering consequences.
Yeah, that superior thinkers look ahead. They predict the consequences of acting or not acting.
And thinking long-term helps make better short-term decisions.
Right. If a task has potentially huge positive consequences or huge negative ones if you fail, it automatically jumps up the priority list. It's an A task.
Makes sense. And there were those 3 questions from Peter Drucker.
Ah, yes, the management guru. Really powerful questions to ask yourself. First, why am I on the payroll? Basically, what's your highest value contribution?
Okay, what result are you hired to get?
Second, what can I, and only I do, that if done well, will make a real difference? Identifying your unique, high-impact tasks.
The stuff only you can really do.
And the third, the absolute core question. What is the most valuable use of my time right now?
You have to keep asking that one constantly.
All day long, and answer it honestly.
Okay, so clarity, planning, prioritizing, nailed down. What about actually doing the work better? Segment 4 gets into skills, constraints, and taking action.
Right. First, focus on your key result areas. Most jobs break down into maybe 5 to 7 core areas where you need to get results.
And the interesting part is that your weakest key skill often holds you back across the board.
It acts like a bottleneck. It sets the ceiling for how well you can do everything else. So you need to ask, what one skill, if I got really good at it, would help my career the most?
Find the bottleneck skill.
And the good news, all business skills are learnable. Tracy himself learned touch typing just so he could write his books faster. He saw it as a key skill constraint.
That's a great example. And he suggests 3 ways to master skills.
Yeah. 1, read about your field for an hour every day. 2, take courses and seminars. 3, listen to audio programs like during your commute. Turn that downtime into learning time.
Constant learning. Which connects to the idea of constraints, right? There's always something holding you back from your goal.
Always one major constraint or bottleneck at any given time. And here's the kicker. 80% of the time, that constraint is internal.
Internal, meaning inside us, not
No.
the competition or the market.
Mostly, yes. It's usually about our habits, skills, beliefs, or maybe something within our organization rather than purely external factors.
So we blame the traffic, but maybe the real issue is we didn't leave early enough.
Kind of like that, yeah. There's an example of a company blaming its sales force for declining sales.
But it was actually.
An internal pricing error made by an accountant. They were looking outward, but the bottleneck was inside. You have to look within.
Okay, identify the constraint, often internal, then work on it. What about motivation? Putting pressure on yourself.
Yeah, apparently only about 2% of people truly work effectively without supervision. They're the leaders. The rest of us need to develop that self-motivation habit.
How?
Set imaginary deadlines. Like, pretend you have to finish your big task before leaving on vacation tomorrow. How fast would you work?
I'd fly through it. That's clever. What about those huge, scary tasks? The ones that feel too big to even start?
2 techniques for that. Salami slicing, just cut off one thin slice, one small, manageable part of the task, and do that.
Break it down.
Or the Swiss cheese method. Punch holes in it. Just decide to work on it for, say, 5 or 10 minutes. Just start.
I've done that. Just starting for 10 minutes makes it seem less daunting somehow.
Exactly. It creates momentum. And it taps into what psychologists call the compulsion to closure. Once you start something, your brain wants to finish it.
That innate desire to complete things.
And once you do start, the rule is single-handle it. Work on that one task without stopping, without distractions, until it is 100% complete. Starting and stopping tasks, he says, can increase the time it takes by up to 500%.
500%, just from switching back and forth.
Apparently so. The cost of refocusing is huge, which is why creating large chunks of uninterrupted time is vital.
Like making appointments with yourself for deep work.
Exactly. Block it out in your calendar. And use those little gaps of time, waiting for appointments, travel time for smaller, less demanding tasks.
Okay, and tying this all together is a sense of urgency.
Yes. Developing the habit of moving fast on important things, it helps you get into that flow state.
That zone where you're super focused and productive.
Right. You feel great, you perform better. He suggests little mantras like do it now or just snapping yourself back with back to work.
Useful reminders. Okay, but speaking of distractions, segment 5, technology, master or servant.
The double-edged sword. Technology can be a terrible master, as Tracy puts it.
How so?
Well, the addiction to notifications, constantly checking phones. What was the stat? 46 to 85 times a day.
That sounds exhausting and kind of sad.
It is, and every time you get distracted, it causes task shifting. It can take like 17 minutes to fully refocus after an interruption.
17 minutes. Wow.
So we end up feeling like we're drowning in pings and alerts. Slaves to the device, not the other way around.
So how do we flip that? Make technology our servant again.
Apply the 80-20 rule again. Think about email. Maybe 80% is noise, only a small fraction needs immediate attention.
So be ruthless.
Be intentional. Unsubscribe aggressively from newsletters you don't read. Use autoresponders. Keep your digital workspace clean. Block distracting websites during work hours. Turn off notifications.
I did that with notifications, turning most off. It made a huge difference to my focus.
It really does. There's that great story in the book about the fortune journalist.
Oh yeah, the one who deleted 700 emails after a vacation.
Yes. Just hit delete. His reason. Just because somebody sends me an email, it does not mean that they own a piece of my life. Powerful statement.
That takes guts, but it makes a point.
Oh.
What about genuine emergencies, though?
You set up specific reserved channels, a special ringtone for family, maybe, or a dedicated line for key clients, so you are reachable for true urgencies, but not constantly bombarded.
Okay, that's smart. And you can use tech proactively, too. Digital to-do lists.
Definitely. For managing tasks, delegating, setting reminders, making the tools work for you. And if you feel intimidated by new tech, remember Tracy's point. Everything is learnable.
Don't let fear stop you from using useful tools. That's good advice.
And here's a modern twist. You can even use social media.
As a motivator, how?
Post your goals publicly. Update your progress. Get those little dopamine hits from likes as mini payoffs. Maybe even some friendly competition. Use it intentionally, not passively.
Turn a potential time waster into an accountability partner. Interesting.
But ultimately, all these techniques, all this focus on productivity, it's not just about work, is it? That's the final segment. The ultimate a balanced life.
Right. It's not just about cramming more tasks into the day.
No. The real goal is to free up time and mental energy for what truly matters.
And according to the book, what matters most is
Relationships. He states that something like 85% of our happiness comes from our relationships with family and friends.
85%. Wow.
And the quality of those relationships really depends on face time, real presence, not just being physically there, but mentally and emotionally present.
Which is hard if you're stressed and thinking about work all the time.
Exactly. Which leads to this key rule. It is the quality of time at work that counts, and the quantity of time at home that matters.
Quality at work, quantity at home. Say more about that.
Focus intensely when you're working. Eat those frogs. Be super effective so that when you are home, you can dedicate generous amounts of time, quantity, and be fully present quality for the people you love.
Leave work at work feeling accomplished so you have the headspace for life outside work.
That's the real win. Being fully engaged in your personal life, that's the ultimate payoff of mastering your time.
So let's wrap this up. This deep dive into Eat That Frog is really about building one core habit. Tackle your biggest, most important task, your frog, first thing every single day.
And supporting that habit with clarity, knowing your goals, with planning thinking on paper, with prioritizing using things like the ABCDE method.
Plus, developing your key skills, tackling your constraints, taking focused, single-handled action.
And making sure technology serves you rather than the other way around, all leading to not just more success, but more freedom.
It's about shifting from just being busy, spinning your wheels, to being truly effective, making sure your energy goes where it counts.
Exactly. Consistently doing what makes a real difference.
So if you started this listening feeling overwhelmed, just remember that power lies in choosing your very next action. Think about this. If you really committed to putting just one of these frog-eating ideas into practice each week, consistently, how much could your work, your career, maybe even your whole sense of freedom change over the next year?
It could be transformative.
And maybe the most important question right now, what's the very first frog you're going to tackle after you finish listening to this deep dive?